Okay. Oh, damn. Let me go ahead and light some sage. I feel like I need to turn me on some music, but I'll be trying not to because YouTube be trying to block me. Hey y'all, happy Thursday. Today I'm gonna talk about, let me turn this down. Today I'm gonna talk about, hey Glover girl, I'm sorry. Today I'm gonna talk about a topic I feel like we don't talk about enough, which is energetic consent. And the difference between being open and being vulnerable. Just because I am an empath myself, and I feel like there was a point of time where I was absorbing a lot of people's energy, and I had these cords attached to me from people who I've trauma bonded with, and all of these things that were just consistently draining my energy. So I want to like basically just talk about it a little bit today. Hey Sister Treats. So I just want to talk about it because I just feel like it's an important conversation, and enough people don't talk about that. And that also has to do with your ancestors and stuff as well. Like the only energy that should have explicit consent from you, meaning like they can enter whenever they want to, is your oversoul. It's not your guides, it's not your ancestors, it's not any of those. Those beings are meant to help to guide you on your journey, but it does not mean that they are allowed constant access to you. Okay, so we're going to talk about energetic consent today. Hey, Teresa. Let me see if I missed anybody before I hop into it. Okay, so we're going to start talking about that today because I just feel like if you're an empath, a lot of times you feel drained, and it's not your energy that you're actually feeling, it's other people's energy. So I just wanted to spend some time talking about that today. So let me put this out so that I can... Oh, let me put the child. I ain't put this out. I'm gonna burn the house down. So that's what we're gonna talk about is energetic consent. And energetic consent is very similar to spiritual consent. Bodily consent, meaning that anytime that a human, a spirit, a healer, a guide, or even your ancestor enter your field without your permission, that's what energetic consent. That's when energetic consent is necessary. Meaning that they don't have a right to do that, to enter into your field, to shift your energy or work on you without your explicit permission, your full awareness, and your agreement. Hey, Alchemist, Queen. And so I just wanted to talk about that from like a healer standpoint, because I had seen a video this week of somebody reading somebody that they didn't know. And, I just want to talk about how to protect yourself from stuff like that. It does require every day you basically declaring your sovereignty in a way. But I wanted to talk about it because I feel like nobody should be able to just tap into your energy without your consent. And then when people do tap into your energy, especially as somebody who was spiritually attacked a lot, I feel like you need to know how to protect yourself from those unwanted attacks or people. You can always feel when other energy is in your energy. So I just wanted to talk about it. Okay, so we're gonna talk about that today. So this I feel like matters because so many people are sensitive and gifted, and they don't really understand that they're sensitive and gifted. So many people are empathetic, and because they are, sometimes you absorb other people's energy. So if you're a person who tends to feel drained after interactions and you can't technically understand why you feel drained, you receive messages or downloads. You always talking about the things I wonder about. Okay, good. I'm glad this is a topic people want to discuss. But you receive messages, downloads, or healing that doesn't feel aligned. And what I mean by that is like sometimes I'll just get a random message and I'm just like, well, what the fuck does this have to do with anything? Now, months later, it'll end up making sense to me. But like that happens way more often than not. And then also there was a situation where I had somebody who I stopped dealing with because I felt like they weren't genuine and they was talking about me behind my back but smiling in my face. And that person was a spiritualist, a spiritual teacher. And I heard her speaking to me in my head, telling me I talk too much and all of this thing. So once you start getting into the spiritual community, there will be people who you have left channels open to because either they read you before or you were in the spiritual community that they was involved in, and you was open in that space to where you basically leave these doorways and these pathways open back to you, and you need to know how to shut them. Okay? So, if you're told what to believe, what to release or integrate by others without ever choosing it for yourself, meaning that, some of us or some people, I've met a lot of people who just go with the flow. Whatever people tell them to do, they doing that instead of learning how to govern themselves or regulate themselves or do what they feel like is best for themselves. They'll just do what everybody else is telling them to do. Like, for example, a parent or something of that sort. And then sometimes we have unknowingly allowed spiritual bypassing or energetic interference. Thank you, love. Even from well-meaning people, meaning, again, like me being in that spiritual space. Of course, at the beginning, I thought this was a genuine person. I thought this was a person who meant well by me. And not even saying that she didn't towards the end, but that's anytime you hear somebody else's voice in your head, that's spiritual bypassing. And it was the first time that I heard her voice in my head. But that's also happened from people who have done work on me as well. For instance, which comes from being an empath and being open around your friends and picking up on certain things. And I'll hear like entities that have tried to attach themselves to me or are attached to me say something in my head. Okay. And that's how I know that it's there. Okay. I feel like I have spiritual gifts. I just don't know how to strengthen it. Okay. Same thing. People stepping into your dreams. Even if it's a guardian, even if it is a guide, they still need permission. The only energy that should ever be able to reach you is your oversoul energy, which is the energy that you are made out of. Okay? So, without your consent, even light can become invasive. Okay? So, energetic consent applies to energy healers. You need to figure out, are they asking you or are they just doing it? Okay, because if you notice, I don't know if I've done any energy work on here or told somebody that I was going to clear them on live, but when I'm in a session with somebody and I see something on somebody, I ask them explicit permission if they want me to remove it or if they want me to do the work. Now, I don't offer that work, but if I feel impelled to do it or spirit tells me to do it, I will do it, right? But I always ask, do you want me to do this? Because the choice needs to be yours. I don't need you to just do something just because you feel obligated to do it. Okay. So you need to be asking yourself, are they asking or are they just doing? But then I also want to urge y'all to pay attention to the people who are reaching out to y'all in DMs. Anybody who is doing real spiritual work is not reaching out to y'all. They're not asking you, can they do a reading on you? Okay. That is spiritual bypassing. So anybody who has ethics in a practice is not going to do that. I talk to my spirit team and I tell them to bring me the right people. I can't tell you how many people I get on the reading with them and they like, oh yeah, somebody scammed me under your name. It was only $35, but they scammed me using. No real spiritualist is ever going to reach out to you. Okay. The second is spiritual messages. Are you choosing that message or are you receiving it from the outside? Okay, that happens to me all the time where I'll do a reading for somebody and say, for instance, somebody in their family didn't get a chance to talk or somebody is hanging around before a reading. They'll start interrupting or interfering with my meditation and giving me a message while I'm meditating and I'm trying to get my mind right before the reading. And I have to stop and be like, hey, not right now. So you have to have good energetic boundaries. Hey, Rhonda. The next is your guides or your spirit guides. Did you open the channel or did they open the channel? It should always be a situation where you are opening the channel, not the other way around. I get that they're your guides. Okay, I get that they're ancestors. I get that they're spirits. Again, you still need to have a system in place. So what I have people do who come into my program, I always have them make a door. And anything that, like this is how I have them structure it. So if it's a being that's not aligned with your highest good, it has to knock at this door. Nobody can just come in. If it's not aligned with your highest good, you have them knock at that door. They have to do that because you set it up that way. Okay, so that way you know if you hear a knock, that's not a being for you. Okay, however, if it is like a spirit guide or your higher self or whatever the case may be, have a bell out there and have them ring the bell. Okay? Energies not aligned with you have to knock on the door. Energies that are aligned with you, your spirit guides, whatever, have to ring the bell. So if you hear a bell ringing, you can usher them in. Okay, you can come in and deliver me the message if that's what you're ready to do right now. But if you in a bed sleep, probably not the best time. Okay, but I always suggest that my people make a door. Have them knock on the door. I don't offer energy clearing, my love. The only time that I'll clear somebody is if I'm doing a reading for them and spirit tells me to. Okay? So, relationships. Is someone projecting onto your field? Okay? That's the question you need to be asking yourself, because also when you're an empath, like I said, you are absorbing other people's energy if you don't have discernment. If you don't have good boundaries, if you're sitting in your friend's, sitting with your friend because your friend just went through something and you very open to them and it feels like you're being drained, is because you haven't set good energetic boundaries. I think what empaths need to realize, that there is a difference between witnessing something and absorbing something. There's a difference between openness and vulnerability. Okay, which is something we're going to talk about in a second. Okay, so I feel like people don't talk about this enough because, again, like I said, we be confusing openness with vulnerability. So this misunderstanding leads to energetic exhaustion, boundary erosion, soul confusion, and can lead to overexposure. It can lead to you people pleasing because you don't know how to say no. Okay, leaving your field unguarded and allowing things into your energy that you did not totally agree with, but you didn't necessarily say no to them either. Okay, discernment is you being clear about what you allow and what you don't allow. And I'm going to give y'all some phrases and stuff to say as well, okay? So openness is conscious. It is a sovereign choice to receive or allow, okay? Nobody is entitled to your access to you. Nobody is entitled to your energy, okay? So openness is a conscious choice, meaning like you're not just doing it just because this is your cousin and you love them. Are you in a space where you can handle this right now? That should be the question, okay? It's rooted in alignment, clarity, and discernment. And it comes from power, but it's not needed, okay? And also you remain centered even as you welcome something in, because a really big part of openness when we're talking about spirit is grounding. Grounding is a really, really great way to make sure that you have control over what is going on. Okay. And we'll talk about that in a second. So many practitioners or spiritual practitioners believe that light is always welcome, but even that can be intrusive. Okay. Especially if you're not asking for it. For example, I saw a reading, like I said, hey D, of somebody yesterday who was reading somebody who they did not know. And they were saying some very private things about this person in a very public setting, that had to do with like health and stuff like that. But they were reading a famous person that they didn't know. That is spiritual bypassing. That is trespassing, and everything. If you respect people, you would not do that. Okay. And I'm not saying it is a bad thing on their part. It's just something I wouldn't do. Okay. So even light has to knock. Even light should have to knock. Okay. Now, oversoul embodiment requires sovereignty, not surrender to everything. And consent is a boundary made of love, not fear. Yeah, there is a code of ethics. And I'm not saying you lack respect if you do that, but I'm saying the respectful thing to do is to ask somebody's consent before you tap into their energy. But not everybody feels like that. I think there's certain people like Sloan Bella or, other people who like read people who have passed away or read people who are still here. And like I said, to each his own. I just feel differently about that because I think I've always been a person of really, really high integrity. Okay. And I feel like you shouldn't interfere with somebody's energy, without their explicit consent. Okay. So what does this look like, protecting yourself? It means saying no thank you when somebody is even offering to help, whether it's a person that you trust or a person you don't trust or somebody in the spiritual community. I feel like sometimes people just say yes to people because they like them. And it's like, oh, I want to do this work on you. I really feel like you need it. And they're just like, sure. You know, when I get that type of answer, I'm like, hold on. Well, are you sure? Because this is your decision. So you let me know what's up. If you need a couple days to think on it, that's perfectly fine. Hit me up when you figure it out. You know, another thing is telling your guides and ancestors, if you are not my oversoul flame, you do not have permission to enter without announcing yourself first. Sometimes it could be as easy as you just telling them to give you their name. You know? Then I get to decide whether or not I'm ready to do this right now or I want to do this right now. Okay? Because sometimes I'll be driving and I'll be getting a download. And I'm like, hold on, wait a second. You know? Always be aware of pushy spiritualists. They don't be real. Yeah, if they're reaching out to you, they're probably not a spiritualist at all. That's probably a scam. Okay? But also check in with yourself when it comes to a reading or healing and make sure it's something you actually want. And then also release the belief that you owe your energy to anybody, including spirit. You don't. Okay? This is the realm of free will. You have free will. Okay? And empathy is nothing without discernment. It causes leakages in your field. Yes, it is important. So energetic consent is a sacred act of owning your field. It protects the temple of your body and clarity of your oversoul. Okay? It's you saying to yourself, my light is not an open source for anybody. It is sovereign. Okay? So if you are a healer, or if you are doing this work, I would suggest that you talk to your guides and you tell them to bring your clients. You don't go looking for them because, again, code of conduct, ethics, you know, let your people find you. You only want the people coming to you who are aligned anyways. You know, you don't want somebody who's not aligned. And sometimes when you prospecting clients, you don't always get the best energy. So also be wary of people who are telling you you're blocked. I see that your chakras are blocked. I want to give you this reading. Like, be wary of that. Okay. So if your guide shows up in your dream space, ask yourself if you're consenting to the interaction. Okay. Someone is emotionally dumping on you. Hey, Hija. It is okay for you to witness with compassion, but you still need to shield yourself and you still need to choose what gets to enter. Don't just sit there and absorb somebody's energy just because you understand what they're going through or you're trying to be compassionate. Compassionate means being present with them. It doesn't mean absorbing their energy and transmuting their pain. Okay? Because then they leave that conversation feeling better and you leave that conversation feeling drained. That's how you know you don't have good energetic boundaries. Okay? You need to, if somebody telling you blocked, you need to check in with yourself and actually feel if you feel blocked. Nobody's more qualified than you to tell you. Okay? So if you don't feel like that's true for you, say, no, thank you. I reject that. I don't feel like that's true for me, but, thank you for the suggestion. Because again, that's trespassing anyway. You didn't ask them. You didn't ask for their help. You didn't ask for their guidance. Okay? So don't feel bad when you have to put up those energetic boundaries. Because again, that's telling yourself that you love yourself. Okay? Now, I feel like this be happening because spiritual teachers kind of glorify being open without actually teaching discernment, without actually teaching you how to protect yourself. Empaths are basically praised for being receptive. It's like, oh, feeling is not a bad thing. You should feel everything. It's okay to feel things deeply, but don't become them. You still need some type of protection. And then the belief that love has no walls, right? You do not have to say yes to anything. True openness is about saying yes, but it's also about knowing when to say yes. Okay? Meaning like only saying yes to those things that are really, truly aligned with you. Okay? Openness, like I said, is a choice. But you thinking openness and vulnerability are the same thing. That's what causes the problems. That's what causes energetic leaks. Okay? You do not need to be wide open to be powerful. You need to be clear. Okay? And I talked about that when I talked about relationships and how if you love somebody or you trauma bond with somebody or you're even having sexual intercourse with somebody, you create this cord. And now they have a pathway into your energy. You have a pathway into theirs. And that's why sometimes you know when something is wrong, right? Sometimes you can feel when they're going through stress. I know I got a strong one with my brother, you know? So you also need to look at where you got cords with people and make sure you go back and cut those contracts. If you get a reading from somebody, you need to close your energy off after the reading. Okay? So, like I said, it's okay for you to feel everything, but you are not meant to become lost in it. Okay? And I feel like what happens with empaths, or with at least people I've seen, is that we feel everything so deeply, right? And then that feeling of feeling everything so deeply causes us to shut our gifts off, because we don't want to feel, we're so overwhelmed by it and overpowered by it that we decide that we just rather not feel anything. Okay? Which causes us to close off our heart space. Okay? Or close off our gifts by choosing to harden instead of learning how to wield the wisdom within your gifts, learning the discernment. But I feel like discernment is not taught. Okay, so that's what I wanted to kind of do today. But what I will be doing is when you start your day, you need to energetically seal your field. Okay, and you can do this by saying, only what is of my oversoul flame may enter. All else is witnessed but not absorbed. And then you can visualize yourself in like a rose gold or a violet light, okay? And kind of form a soft shell around your auric field. Now, this is going to help you to filter out distortions, but it doesn't block you from love, okay? So only what is of my oversoul flame may enter. All else is witnessed but not absorbed, okay? 2, you need to, every single time you feel a wave of emotion, you feel fear, you feel fatigue, you need to stop and check in with your body and say, is this mine? Because sometimes it could be as simple as you walking down the street next to somebody who is experiencing extreme depression or sadness. And because you're so fucking open and you lack energetic boundaries, you've picked up on that energy. I can't tell you how many times before I knew what I knew that I've sat around a friend or slept next to a friend or hung out with a friend and I came home with a attachment. So many times. And I used to get pissed. I used to say to myself, like, damn, why do I always gotta basically handle the consequence of somebody else's fucking actions? Why is it always me? It's because you lack energetic boundaries. You need to make sure you seal your field. Before you go out the house, clear and shield. Sage yourself. When you come back in, sage yourself at the door. Make sure you clean your door off when people come over. And when they leave, clean your door off again. Sage them when they walk through the door. I don't care if they call you crazy. Make sure that energy is right before it enters into your sacred place. Okay? So, always stop and ask if that energy is yours. And if it's not, say, I return this energy to sender with love. I release what is not my frequency. I return to sender with love. I release what is not my frequency. I say that before I even go to bed. Every night before I go to bed, I say that. Every day, and most of the time is when I'm in the shower. I release what's, and I'm washing my body. I release what's not mine. Okay? Understand that empathy does not mean ownership. It doesn't mean you have to stay in it with them. Okay? Thank you, D. Hey, unique element. Okay? You also need to ground every single day. Either put your bare feet in the earth. You need to be touching water with intention, because water is a healing agent. It's a memory agent. Water is so powerful. Okay? Or you need to take spiritual baths. Or you can visualize. What I do is before I meditate every single day, I visualize a root coming from my tail, from the base of my spine, going into earth and spreading out. And then I see nutrients, which to me just kind of looks like that. You know, when the Avatar took their tail and attached it to that tree in the movie, it looks like that energy is coming up from the earth and grounding me. It's tethering me to earth, okay? You go to the spiritual realm, but you are in this realm right now. You need to be tethered and grounded in this realm. That's how spiritual psychosis happens, okay? You're picking up on both sides. You need to ground yourself here, okay? Breathe into your belly and say, I'm in my body, I'm in my flame, and I am safe. Okay, ground every single day. That is what helps you to strengthen your field and to stay in this physical reality instead of being in the spirit, okay? The more you ground, the less you absorb energy, because you're discharging your energy into the earth. The chakras that are on your feet are or discharge emotional excess energy into the ground. That's why they make you wear rubber shoes, because rubber does not conduct electricity. It disconnects you from the ground. You need to put your bare feet on them mushrooms that cover this entire earth and discharge that emotional energy every single day if you can. If not, you can do what I said, the visualization of seeing the root come down, go all the way down and spread out, and then see the nutrients coming up. Hey, Royal. Okay? Now, you also need to delay your yes. And what I mean is, don't agree to everything the moment that you hear it. I always say, let me think about it. I got to think about it. I'm asleep on it. You know what? That sounds like a good opportunity. Let me get back to you on Friday. I'll just let you know. Okay? Because you only want to say yes to those things that are truly aligned with you, which means you need a moment to feel it. And when you take that pause, you give your intuition time to catch up. Okay? Stop deciding in the moment, because what happens is you decide in the moment, you get home and you're like, damn, I don't want to do that. And now you're going to have to either disappoint this person, or you're going to have a dog ate my homework type of situation to get yourself up out of there. Just stop committing to things in the moment and just always say, I got to think about it. I got to feel into that. I'll get back to you. Okay? Because you only want to say yes to the things that are truly aligned with you in that moment. And then you also need to practice silent compassion. Okay? Like I said, compassion does not mean absorption. Compassion means that you're holding space, but you don't have to take it in. Compassion is presence. It is not fixing. You are not ever going to be there to fix your friend. You are not ever going to be able to save them. You are not ever going to be able to solve their problems. And I think we learned that in childhood because we want to help, right? We think they're telling us this because we're supposed to be helping. No, that's not what compassion is. Compassion is you just being present. But it doesn't mean you have to do anything. So you can just listen. Put your energetic boundaries up and listen. Okay? And then you also need to ask yourself, they call this the one flame rule. You ask yourself, does this put me more in my flame? Meaning your light. Does this put me more in my light or less in my light? Okay? Yes, I do have a YouTube. It's Big Taj with 2 J's. And this will be on my YouTube afterwards. Okay? So does this put me more in my light or less in my light? Meaning, like, you need to figure out, is this dimming you? Is this draining you? Or is this fragmenting you in any way? If so, it's time to shield, it's time to rest, and it's also time to step away. It is okay for you to be talking to somebody and you realize that nothing, because I'll do this all the time. People come to me for everything, right? Family, friends, clients, and sometimes people will trauma dump on me. And if I'm not in the mental state to be able to take that on, I will flat out tell them, like, hey, look, I'm sorry to hear that you're going through this, but I'm not in a mental state right now where I can take this on. So I'll be happy to discuss this next week, but right now is not a good time for me. If I'm on the phone with somebody, hey, cuz, I'm sorry to hear that you're going through that right now. It sounds like a lot, but I got a lot on my plate too, and I can't engage in the way that I want to, or even give you my best self right now because I'm not my best self. You know, I'm going to give you a call back next week and I'll be more than happy to talk you through it. But right now, I got to make sure I'm not drowning. Okay? Because you get them people where you try to help them and they splashing in the water, and you jump in the water and you trying to help them. They splashing so much that they done dunked you under the damn water, and now you're both drowning. You need somebody who is willing to change in order for you to ever be effective in trying to help. Because then you throwing them a raft and they pulling the boat under with the raft. You put them on the boat, they poking holes because they used to the water. And now you both sinking. You are not going to be able to help somebody who is not willing to change. You're not going to be able to have somebody hear you who is not willing to receive what you have to say. It is not your job to fix. It is not your job to heal. It is not your job to save. If they want healing from you, they come to you. If they want your advice, they need to ask for it. But you don't just give it all willy-nilly. If they start trauma dumping on you, something that feels heavy, wait a second. When people try to gossip with me, I always say, hold on, wait a second. I feel like this is the conversation you need to have with that person. I don't want to engage in this because it feels like you're tearing someone down. And if that's the case, maybe you need to go talk to them. But you need to set healthy boundaries, because when you do that, you encourage other people to do that as well. And is it going to feel, weird for them in the first place? It might. May it feel like rejection? Yes. It might feel like rejection, but if they come to you in that light, just let them know that that's not what it is. I just love myself enough to know where I'm at. And I only can be where I'm at right now. And if I don't have it, I don't have it. I think a lot of us mistaken our friends for a therapist. We think because you're my friend, you're supposed to walk me through everything. You're supposed to be here for me through everything. You're supposed to always show up, even if I'm doing something that's detrimental. You're supposed to always be there for me. You're supposed to listen to me every single time that I call. That is unrealistic. And nobody's more suited to help you than a professional. And it's really unfair to your friends for you to be having suicidal ideations, or for you to be going through something very, very traumatic, and you keep calling them, and then when they try to get you help, you tell them you don't want them to get you help. So either they betray you, or they have to keep subjecting themselves to trauma. It is unfair. And it's not your friend's jobs to fix your problems. It isn't. And if you think that way, then you got a long way to go when it comes to emotional intelligence. Okay? So, is this helping me or is this hurting me? You need to be asking that. Because you cannot help someone by losing your own light. How does that help? Martyrdom is not the way to go. Because if you jump in front of the bullet and you die, who the fuck is going to help? That is not how you provide proper care. Proper care is provided through self-love first, which means discernment, which means boundaries. Because you're not going to be able to provide proper care if you prioritizing somebody else's needs over your own, because then you're not your best self. I hope y'all hear me when I say that, okay? You also want to discharge. Here's something you can say. And you can say this one in the shower. You can wash off and say return, release, reset. That's simple. Return, every time you shower, return, release, reset. Okay? You also can say, I release all that is not mine. I send it to the earth I send it back to the earth. I send it back to source. Sometimes I'll see like energy in my body turn into gold light, and I see it going straight back up to source. Whatever does not belong to me or belong to my oversoul light, I turn you into gold light and send you back to source. Okay, but you want to be discharging in some way. A simple way: return, release, reset while you're showering. Okay, but then you also need to remind yourself that boundaries are an act of self-love, like I just said. It's not rejection, but protection of connection. Okay, because if you don't have good boundaries with your friends and you don't tell them what your needs are, you're going to start to resent them. So boundaries is you protecting that connection. Boundaries is you not taking on the responsibility of other people, because it puts you in a compromising position. Empathy is a gift, but discernment is how you keep that empathy safe. Okay? So when I say you need to be of service to other people, what I mean is that's 51%. of service to other people, more service to other people than you are service to yourself. But that means that there's 49% service to yourself. This is not a 90-10 situation. This is not a 95-5 situation. 51% needs to be for other, 49% needs to be for you though. And take your full 49. Because when you are clear, others are going to feel safe around you. When you hold your field, you teach other people to respect theirs. Okay? It's important that you hold your field now. So how do you protect yourself from unwanted readings from readers or energetic interference, right? Now, the reason why I feel like this is important is because, like I done told y'all, I have been spiritually attacked multiple times. I have also been someone who I had a teacher like interfere, like saying stuff in my head, you know, or her feeling some type of way, blocking me and saying something in my head, you know, me hearing it very clearly. And it's because you leave these doorways open. So you need to learn how to close those doorways. Okay. So this is something I would practice every single day so that you can shield yourself properly. All right. I already gave y'all some good nuggets at the beginning. Now here are the other ones. So the first thing is you need to set a daily oversoul boundary seal. And that looks like no one may read, access, or alter my energy field, soul codes, or path unless given express permission by my oversoul or my conscious self, meaning I have to be aware of it. Okay. I walk in sealed flame. Only what is of truth, light, and my own design may see or touch me. And then you need to visualize yourself in a gold, violent flame and seal your field in every single direction. Okay. You need to kind of envelop you in a way. You can also put yourself, I will put my house in like a lockbox, or I will cloak my house, cloak myself, those type, whatever it is that you want to do, you can do that. Okay. Just for extra protection. You also want to put a reflector mirror shield around your auric field, meaning that you're sending that energy back to where it's coming from. Okay. So mirrors are really good. Like if I'm going to bind something against me, meaning like an attachment has gotten on me or something, and I want to bind it, I create a casket and I put mirrors all in that casket, and I push that energy into that casket, close it, weld it shut, put copper chains around it because copper is love. Okay. Copper is Venus energy. So pure love, pure empathy, compassion, because I always send you off in love, but you just can't be here. Okay. So I put the chains on and then I push it into the ocean. And I see it fly as far away from me as possible into the ocean. Okay. Or people who keep attacking me. Okay. Reflective mirror shield looks like imagining a mirror-like field around you and around your aura, and it should be smooth. Okay. It should be a smooth surface. It should be fluid, and it also should be reflective. Okay. This is going to deflect projections. This is going to scramble invasive psychic attempts, and it's going to prevent energetic hooks from latching into your field. Okay. I had somebody, I told y'all somebody did black magic on me. They put an energetic tether in me so they could track when I was in a state where I could be compromised. Okay. So drinking, smoking, things like that. Okay. So this is not meant to isolate you, but it's meant to clarify your permission structure. Okay. So a reflective mirror shield is a good idea. You also want to anchor your oversoul sovereignty by saying, I revoke all unseen access, all readings, impressions, or projections upon my soul are now returned, unreceived, and nullified. I allow only divine seeing through love in alignment with my oversoul. And you can say that anytime you feel watched or you start to feel insecure. Okay. Repeat that phrase. And I'm going to repeat it again, but let me tell you this. A lot of spiritual attacks start by making you insecure or self-conscious about yourself. So you really need to pay attention to what is going on inside of your head. That's how a lot of attachments get into your field. They weaken your field by making you feel insecure, making you feel paranoid, making you feel self-conscious. So you need to be constantly having awareness of what's going on inside of your head, but you need to also be rejecting things that do not feel true for you. That's why I always, is this mine? Stop and say, wait a second, I don't feel paranoid. No. And you need to reject it, because that's how you actively reject those psychic attacks. Because the moment that you accept it as being your thoughts, the moment that you accept it as true, they've entered your field. That is exactly what happened to me before I got that black magic attack. I started feeling self-conscious. I started feeling insecure. And it was like I was fighting it, but it felt like something was fighting back. And I just decided, yeah, let me go ahead. And the moment I accepted it, it was the moment that I started getting attacked. It was the moment that I heard them in my ear. It was the moment that they was able to do what they was able to do. You need to become your own best friend, and you need to protect what's going on in your head. Anytime you feel that, stop and anchor yourself. Does this belong to me? Don't feel like you need to make a rush decision. Nah, this don't feel like me. I return that back to sender. Okay. So I revoke all unseen access. All readings, impressions, or projections upon my soul are now returned, unreceived, and nullified. I agree only to divine seeing through love and alignment with my oversoul. Okay, you can also physically anchor using black tourmaline, which I done put it back up there. I don't know if y'all can see that above my door. That black tourmaline and that selenite. Yeah, black tourmaline or obsidian. Okay, you can wear these as jewelry, or you want to put them near your solar plexus, which is usually the chakra they go after. Why? Because it's the most important and it's the most easily misaligned. Do you know what the solar plexus rules? Your mind, your mental body. Okay. I'm gonna post this on YouTube, y'all. I'm gonna post it on YouTube right after we get off of here, okay? Because I want to go back and answer the questions and stuff too. Ooh, 5:16 on the clock. That's alignment. That's my birthday. Okay, so use black tourmaline or use obsidian. And you can wear this as a necklace, or you can hold it near your solar plexus or your root chakra. And this is what blocks energy leakages. Okay. Also can use Florida water, rose water, or frankincense. And you want to mist it around your crown. Okay. Or you can cover your crown altogether when you go to sleep or when you go out in public. Okay. And you want to make sure it's wrapped around here too, because there is a very important chakra that sits right here. So if you take your finger in the back of your head and you tilt it backwards, there's a crease. That is the Alta Major chakra. It is responsible for embodying your oversoul in this body. It gives you psychic access to a lot more of your gifts than what you naturally have. And if you are in alignment with yourself, by the time you become 33, this one comes online. Okay, so I will see a lot of people with attachments right here, and they say it's your processor. That is your Alta Major chakra. Okay? Yeah, most of us haven't. We also haven't heard of our high heart chakra that's associated with the thymus gland. Okay? That's actually where empathy and things come from. Okay? The high heart chakra is Venus energy. Okay? It's divine feminine energy. That's why they don't want you to know what it is. They also don't want you to know what this one is, because how they gonna control you if you got connection to the divine? They're trying to keep you disconnected. Okay? They don't tell you about your spiritual chakras the spiritual grid that comes online, but we're gonna talk about that in my episodes that I do on Wednesday. On every single Wednesday at 1 p.m., the spiritual grid that comes online, but we're going to talk about that in my episodes that I do on Wednesday. On every single Wednesday at 1 p.m. Pacific time, so that's 3 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Eastern, I will be on TikTok and I will be going over what you need to know. I did my first episode this Wednesday, so yesterday, and I talked about what we're here to do. I correlated it with movies and everything. It's on my YouTube. Go check it out if you haven't. But we're going to be talking about Atlantis. We're going to be talking about Lemuria. We're going to talk about what they have not told us and why right now in history is important. Okay? Because some of us, it's time to wake up. You're taking too long. Okay? So we'll be talking about that on Wednesdays. All right? So the last thing is, or not the last thing, you also need to revoke open contracts, okay? Sometimes people can read us because we have unknowingly left a door open. And this could actually be from past timelines, past soul ties, spiritual communities, and trauma bonds. Let me tell you this. I was, I don't know what was happening, but I was in a facility for like 3 weeks in my dream space. I don't know what this was, but it felt like, you know, like one of those facilities where you come up and get meds from a counter or something like that. It felt like that. And then this guy, I seen him coming up the escalator and he had on like a hat, and he ended up unaliving all the people. And then the next thing I noticed, we're in a car and he looks at me and he said, "Do you know who I am?" And as soon as I looked at him, it's like I knew that I was supposed to, like this was somebody who had been chasing me for lifetimes or something. Like that is immediately what I felt. And so I started fighting, and I took his glasses and crumpled them, and then I rolled out of the car and I woke up. Okay, immediately. Past life connections. So you need to end all contracts. I had the same dream. Past life connections. Okay, I've had dreams where I have a premonition in a dream and I'll see something that's about to happen, and then I come out of it and then it starts. I don't know if it's like a setback in timelines or what's happening there. Like if somebody reset the timeline because I actually got captured or something. But I roll up to, like one time I'm having a dream and it's like I see this bridge, and under the bridge is a car that stopped, and we stopped to try to help the people that was in the car, but whoever was in the car was trying to attack me. Right. So I have the premonition of that. And then we rolling up to the bridge and I'm like, keep driving, keep driving. And something happens where the person stops. And as soon as they stop, because they didn't listen to me, they stop. I get out of the car. I run because I already know what's about to happen. And they're throwing knives at me. OK. And if somebody tells you that every energy that you come across is you and you are them, that is a fucking lie. The only reason why you are that energy is because y'all both created from source. But it does not mean y'all have the same purpose. And it does not mean that they cannot attach to you. It does not mean that they're not shadow agencies. Okay? In this frequency. That's naive to think that. As somebody who has been spiritually attacked over and over again because what I do online, that is naive to think that. Okay? So, some things are old fights. And I think there was a movie on Netflix about this. Hold on. Movie on Netflix where chased by the same person across timelines. It's that one black dude who it's that one black dude. He kind of thick. Do y'all know what I'm talking about? Anybody? No, not Bruce Willis. Damn, I think it's on Netflix. I want y'all to go watch it though, because it was interesting. When I think of it, when I figure out what it is, I'm going to let y'all know. Let me get on Netflix real quick though, because I feel like I'm supposed to tell y'all what it is. Let me log in real quick and see if I can see what I watched in the past. I must find out the name of this. Motherfucker. All right, I can't get into Netflix, y'all. So y'all just go, I'm gonna have to get back to y'all. No, it's not Looper. It's a new movie. Like it literally came out like a couple months ago. Anyways, it doesn't matter. So sometimes it comes from past lineages too, and they be looking for you in this reality because some of us are in a karma loop. We keep coming back. I talked about that, not teacup. I talked about that in the last thing. Okay, so you need to close the contract. Okay, so how do you do that? You need to say, I revoke any and all open access to my energy, my soul path and field. All unclosed ties are now severed. I walk forward fully sealed in my oversoul light. Okay, and if you know the person's name, even better. Say their name and say, you do not have permission to access me. I walk in sovereign light. Okay. So anytime you need to clear a contract, and anytime you get a reading or you do tarot cards or anything that requires somebody to get in your energy, Reiki, or you trauma bonded with a friend, close them gates. Close them gates. Because empathy is like a portal. Close them gates back down. Yes, I'm going to post this on YouTube, y'all. But I revoke any and all open access to my energy, soul path, and field. All unclosed ties are now severed. I walk forward fully sealed in my oversoul light. Okay, and then the last thing is oversoul embodiment. Okay, when you are walking in your light every single day, not tenant, but that's a good one. And when you are walking in your light every single day, unaligned readers cannot read anything off of you. Energetic intruders feel resistance before they even try to get in your energy. You stop being a match for psychic invasions. Okay, it makes you unreachable without permission. Meaning, like, you have to know who you are. You got to be walking in your authenticity, because that is what builds the shield up around you. I've talked about the electromagnetic field around you multiple times. The reason why it's important is because it's your shield. And if you have weaknesses and leakages in your shield because you contracted in an area because of trauma or because of fear or because of distortion, that creates a portal into your field. So you have to unapologetically be you, not give in to the fear, the distortion, and all of that is so, so, so important. Now, let me find this damn movie. I got to find it. I got to find it. Netflix action movie. Is it Havoc? No, that don't feel right. I must find this. Damn it, I'm annoyed. Is it Upgrade? Is it Upgrade? Because y'all know I'll just be watching shit. Nope, that's not it. Boo. I have to find this. Anyways, let me go back and answer some of y'all questions. I'm going to have to find this, though, because it's going to drive me fucking nuts. It's literally this white guy, but it's a known black guy in the film. Well, I mean, I feel like we would know him. But he's basically running from him the whole movie. And it's the same guy across timelines. And it's like in his past life, he was like an Asian guy. And then he ended up being a white guy in this timeline. And they had to basically convince him that he was this person so that he would go with them so he wouldn't be unalived, you know, which is the story plot of all fucking movies. Doesn't really help. I need to find it. Okay. All right, so let me go back up. Is it Internal? Nope, not Two Distant Strangers. Wow, I'm gonna have to put it in the comments of this movie on YouTube, because it's apparent that I am no fucking good. I'm just gonna keep looking. Okay, let me go back and answer some of y'all questions though. Because I know I was ranting for a second, or not ranting, but I was giving y'all real knowledge. Okay, but I just want to make sure I'll look at some of these questions. Okay, I already answered that. Okay. Already answered that. Okay, when I tell you everything happens for a reason, I'm very deep empath and this is a battle. It sure is. So was I. You're welcome, Miss Tanya. This is great info and I recognize some of my past issues. Me too. That's why I feel like it's an important conversation to have, because I feel like a lot of people don't teach energetic consent. A lot of people don't teach discernment. They want you to hop off into the spiritual world while you're depressed. That you are going to attract the wrong fucking energy. I literally had a client who I had put her into a group with other people so that we can read together. And then she had like a really bad breakdown. And I was like, I cannot in good faith allow you to step into the spiritual world like that. You know, so we're going to have to take a beat on that, because I would be doing you a disservice. And I'm never going to put people in harm, knowing what I know, especially as somebody who was getting my fucking ass handed to me in the spiritual realm. I'm not about to play. I'm not about to have to clear you every single time that we do this. So I'm not on that. I sage at the door, put salt and vinegar water at my door. You are appreciated. Thank you. Oh, thank you guys. I just noticed you have mushrooms I have mushrooms in my yard. I'll be doing this tomorrow. Yes, but don't touch the mushroom, the actual mushroom. Like there's mushroom in the ground, meaning like the whole grid of earth is covered in these cilia mushrooms. Okay, that's what I mean. In the ground, meaning like the whole grid of earth is covered in these cilia mushrooms. Okay, that's what I mean. Fairies are a real fucking thing. Be careful with the mushrooms. Be fucking careful. You cannot see them. They could fucking see you and they will wreak havoc in your life if you fuck up their little, fairy mushroom shit. Don't do that. Don't touch the fucking mushrooms, okay? You might not believe me, but them elementals they don't like us already. They looking for a reason to get in your ass. Okay, and that's why some people fuck with shit, and then all of a sudden they have night terrors. You better be careful. They do not. The fairy rings, that's what I'm talking about. The little mushroom. Let me show you what they look like. Listen, them little motherfuckers are not to be touched. And there's a such thing as dark fairies too, which is not something that I knew is a real thing, but it is. Let me show you what it looked like. This is what it looked like, y'all. Okay, so this is what like a fairy ring would look like something like this or something like this. Okay, when you see them in like a ring, just be careful. They are not nice to us, okay? I needed this, period. Love that. Oh, I waved at somebody. I apologize. Well, not apologize, but still. You tapped in. I just tapped in. This is so needed. I can't wait to watch this back, period. Any tips on those who can't make mental images or pictures? Visualizing can be difficult. Just say what the invocations that I gave you. That's probably the best course of action if you can't visualize, I mean, I can't visualize in my head, but I still can do this. So I don't know, I just think about it happening. Like I literally go step from step. I see like if I'm gonna wrap myself in a flame, I see it like I don't see it, but I like imagine it coming out of my feet and wrapping around my body. And I wrap all the way up, starting from the bottom all the way to the top. But I can't actually see it. So I don't know. Just say the invocations. I'm so happy I caught this live, period. Can you read that again? Okay. Everything will be on my YouTube later, y'all. Never even heard of that. Wait, who is they? Actual or energetic beings? Okay, well. I just start to see my dreams a little now. Day 3 of not smoking. Yeah, what's crazy is I actually was talking to somebody yesterday and who was saying that she was having trouble dreaming, and Spirit said it's the weed. And I said, oh, yeah, that makes sense, because when I was heavy on that too, my dreams went away. And that actually starts to happen as a consequence of being dependent on it. In ancient civilization, weed has been around for a long time. It was around in Atlantis. in ancient civilizations. And what they was actually doing with it back then was it'll help them to get into deeper dream states so that people can do healing work on them, right? So they would use it kind of like a sedative in a way, so that people can do, you know, so that their body will relax and they can do energy work on them, or like going to like a sound bowl session or initiation or something like that. They would use it like that, but they would use it very sparingly, meaning that it wasn't never meant to be anything that you was dependent on, and your dependency on it is what causes all these other issues. And me, now y'all know I'm not against it at all. Gardening, not against it at all, because I was a person who used that during my spiritual journey. But there came a point where it was bringing me down instead of bringing me up, and I started getting irritated every time that I would use it. So I just decided to step away from it. No, it wasn't the dude from the show Atlanta. He was like a big brolic dude. Something with it being a soul tie, but they were not meant to be, but they keep following each other. I feel like I walked in on the middle of a conversation or something. I'm sorry. Something. Did I miss something? Well, whichever one of y'all just restricted my live, you suck. Or it could have been TikTok itself. No, I don't know what I just missed. Or maybe your other comment never made it through. It's not altered carbon, no. My son called and I missed a lot. Will you post it somewhere? Yes, this will be on YouTube. Have you ever explained oversoul before? If so, I'll go back on my own. No, but I'm going to talk about that in my next session on Wednesday. So I'm not going to explain it today, but your oversoul is different than your higher self. Your higher self is meant to help you on this journey. Your oversoul is like helping you across worlds and timelines. And it's like you from on a soul level, the essence that you came from. That's all I'm going to tell you, because we got to talk about it deeper. And yeah, Infinite. Was it Infinite? Infinite movie on Netflix. Girl, you might be onto something. Yes. No. Yeah. No. Hold on. Oh, yes, this is it. 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 Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Desiree. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, girl. That's the name of the movie. Let me show y'all. This is it. This is the one. This one. That's the one. That's the black guy I was talking about. But this is the one. Okay? He was chasing him across timelines. Okay, every time he was a different person and the other dude was a different person, and he had hidden something from him. So he had to keep him alive so that he could figure out how to get the thing back. You know? Red, I think I need you in such a way. What does that mean? What do you mean by that? Hey Jedi, how can I stop random thoughts from popping up and causing anxiety when I really be in a good mood? Nurture your mind. Mother yourself. You got to change the narrative. You got to stop letting them affect you. You might be being attacked, but all attacks can be healed through you mothering yourself. You nurturing your mind. You saying, no, that thought doesn't align with me. I actually want to experience this. You can even go into meditation and visualization. But if you smoking a lot, absolutely probably getting attacked, because it after you become dependent on it, it weakens your field. It starts to weaken your field, and it leaves you open, because you got to think, when you doing that, when you gardening, when you messing with them spirits, you're entering into the spiritual realm. And if you don't have good energetic boundaries, you entering all willy-nilly, and you leave yourself open for attacks. And it causes, like I said, drainages and weaknesses in your field. It was supposed to be used as a teacher. It was one of Earth's teachers, but it was not supposed to be something that you became dependent on, which Spirit has been telling me for a long time. And they told me I had to stop. That's why I stopped at the top of this year, because it was time for me to go through my embodiment stage, which is something I've been going through. I've been tired as hell these last couple of weeks, but it was time for me to remember. And you can't remember if you're constantly doing that. Okay. You are welcome, my love. Hey, Amiris. Hey, Terry. Thank you. I'll be watching that movie. Was deep. Yes. Period. It was a deep movie. It really was. I was going to go crazy trying to look for it now. I'm glad you found it. But that movie was deep because and it's real too, because that really does happen. I told you about the guy in the hat. I don't know who he was, but it's like as soon as he said that, I looked at him like, oh no, you again? That's literally what went through my head, and I just started kicking his ass. I was like, hold up, not today. Whatever it is, not today. I told my adult kids this. It's a teacher, and some point you should be able to get into the state without it. Yes, it's supposed to show you how to reach a specific frequency, and then you can mimic it. Is it on Netflix? Yes, it's on Netflix. Or it was on Netflix when I watched it, and I probably watched it not too long ago. Thank you. I stopped because of my anxiety. Yeah, and especially because of it being commercialized. Okay? Some of them are putting the anxiety and shit in there. You told about Sinners because I'm about to watch it Saturday. Yes, I did. It's on my YouTube, though. I already talked about it. And I talked about it in my session that I had yesterday as well. And I tied it to why that movie is important for right now. So if you haven't seen my YouTube from yesterday, please go watch it. I'm telling you, it's worth it. Yes, thank you. I have to stop with the garden gummies. Yeah, me too. And I feel like that was affecting my sleep even more because that don't just go in your system and get out. Like, you know, so I had to stop because I had stopped, you know, orally doing it. Because spirit was telling me your breath is the most important thing about you. It's how it leads you to higher states of consciousness. So I started using gummies, and baby, do you think Ryan Coogler is tapped in? I mean, he's a Gemini. So, I mean, probably. Geminis are just smart as hell. They put shit together in a very charismatic way. Creative, brilliant. But I think that if he's not, because, you know, sometimes they have Hollywood execs that come in and rewrite the script or make it better or whatever. But I think that if he's not, I would be surprised, you know. But again, you got to think how powerful we are. We don't even, sometimes we don't know what we're doing. It's soul recall. You know, we recreate from that sacred energy, from that recall. So even if he does not know and he is not aware, that's still a sign of remembrance. He had to know how important this message was. Yeah. And I also feel like the world is a stage. There's no way that he doesn't know. I'm going to watch it after I see it. What's the gummies called? Oh, we was talking about Tree. I don't take gummies no more. Somebody else was talking about their garden gummies. Oh, they could probably tell you what they was. But yeah. Right, like the old folks used to say, flesh and blood didn't reveal that to him. Yeah. For sure. Sometimes it's way bigger than us. And I think me, recently where I have been in my journey, and now that I'm in this state of remembering and I'm getting these memories, well, I mean, I've been having these memories for about 3 years. I just didn't know what they was, but I'm in this state of really understanding what it is. And like where it's coming from, and now I understand every single message, and I'm getting things a lot clearer. I'm like waking up to who my guardians are, like those type of things. I start to realize that one, not everybody is the same being, which doesn't mean that anybody's better, but there's some people who are grounding in the divine masculine and bringing the divine masculine back into balance. And there are some people who are bringing the divine feminine back into balance. And then there's some people who are bringing both into balance, you know? So I happen to be one of those people who are bringing in both into balance, but that's because of who my oversoul is, you know? But now I'm starting to realize that just everything is not what it seems. Like people who tend to lean towards their ancestors are going to be people who are bringing the divine masculine back into balance. Whereas people who are bringing in, people who are like, feel more like they from the stars, that's divine feminine energy. Or Venus, you know, the empathy, the love, the whatever, that's Venus. You know, the ones that don't want to harm, even if somebody has done something bad to them, like that's pure divine feminine energy. How do you find out this about yourself? You just raise your frequency enough to match the resonance. I don't know how else to say that. I practice spirituality every single day. I'm a psychic medium, so I do readings for people. I'm always in spirit. I have a good relationship with myself. I love myself. I authentically live as myself every single day. So in order for you to ever get in tune with the divine, you have to see the beauty in your experiences. Meaning when you looking back at your experiences, you can't hate the people or hate the things that you've been through. You have to see that everything happened for a reason. It was meant to teach you this one thing. And if you never went through that thing, you would have never know what you know. And then you also need to love yourself, because your oversoul created you as perfect to do what you came here to do. If you don't love yourself, how are you going to accept the guidance? You can't. So you have to unapologetically be yourself, and you have to love the parts of you that nobody does. You have to integrate the parts that you don't want other people to see. You have to be honest about who you are and show up honestly. You have to be accountable, because accountability is how you transcend karma. You have to be accountable. And then you have to make conscious choices, because choices are activation keys. You need to make choices that are in alignment with your soul. And if you do that enough, then your oversoul will start to trust you again. Mine just happened to start trusting me recently. But before, I was untrustworthy. I was out here and I was not doing what the fuck I was supposed to be doing. So you kind of got to build trust back up, because your oversoul been talking to you your whole life. But if you ain't been listening, then why the fuck would I keep talking to your ass? I got other people to be talking to while I'm talking to you. It's like having that bad student in the class who, no matter how much you pour into them, they just doing it for the sake of doing it. You know what I'm saying? My YouTube channel name is Big Taj, Bigtajj. And if you go to my page, go to where it say Instagram, it'll pop down, and you can go to my website, which is linked in my bio, and just scroll down on the first page, and it has all my platforms there. When do you know that you've done enough shadow work to move forward? You're always moving forward, okay? With shadow work, I kind of hit a standstill at one point in time, meaning that I felt like I've done as much as I could when it came to intellectualizing it, meaning like I've overthought about it 1,000 times, but that's not enough. You actually have to feel it. You have to get back into the energy of it, because in order for you to heal it, you have to feel what it felt like again. And some of us, arrogantly think that we know what it felt like because we experienced it once. We don't. Okay, so there's a point in your shadow work journey where you need to be doing visualizations, where you need to go into meditation, where you need to rewrite the script, where you need to call your parents for it, or whoever the fuck else had you fucked up, and have those conversations that you're not able to have in person, where you're able to end the contracts and take your power back. Fucked up and have those conversations that you're not able to have in person, where you're able to end the contracts and take your power back. Like, there needs to be a state of you doing that type of work as well. But I feel like you will know, because like one day I woke up and spirit was like, finally you made it through there. And I knew it that day when I woke up. I knew that I had made it through the darkness. And I was like, fucking finally. But was I still getting spiritually attacked after that? Yes, because I didn't have good energetic boundaries. And that's why I did this episode today, or this session today. And it wasn't to, call anybody out who, taps into people's energy without knowing them or anything like that. It's not that, because I still like to watch it. Like I wouldn't do it, but just because I wouldn't do it don't mean it's not part of your path. Everybody is at different places in their journey. So I feel like if that's part of your path right now and you don't learn something that I feel like I've learned, now, then that's okay. I still think it's interesting, because I like seeing other psychics or other people just doing their work, in some way it makes me feel more confident in what I'm doing. And I just like it, because sometimes when people are doing readings, I can feel what they feel, and it's just good confirmation for me. But it wasn't to bash anybody. It was just more to say, like, there has to be ethics in spirituality, and there has to be a certain level of respect for other people's space. And I mean, that's what my flame represents, though. It doesn't mean that that's what your flame represents, and that's okay. How do I book a session? I think we need to talk. Through my website. Like, what type of session are you trying to book, though? Like, what do you mean you think we need to talk? I have meet and greets. You can book a meet and greet, but in the meet and greet, I don't do any spiritual work. If you want like a reading, like a psychic reading or a general life reading, mediumship reading, that's on my website. And then I also offer human design readings, which is me looking at your energy based off of your date, time, and location of birth and telling you what your masculine energy is versus your feminine energy and how to get into energetic alignment. Which I think is important. That's what Spirit said I was supposed to be doing. So I was gravitated towards that 2-3 years ago because that was me operating in alignment. And that's what it looks like. It's just small, subtle nudges. It's not like a voice is coming down from the sky and telling you something, even though it can be. A lot of times it's just subtle nudges towards specific outcomes or specific things. You get the urge to want to take a hypnosis class, or you get the urge to want to do something. I'm not unsure what kind of session. Something is just pulling me to book with you. Okay, you can book a meet and greet. They're only $65. And once you book it, I'll send you my availability. But a meet and greet is like kind of like a consultation or something. Like if somebody wants to just say hi to me, or they just want to talk about something they're going through, or they need advice, like that type of thing is the meet and greet. So yeah, so that's all I wanted today, was just to get on here and talk to y'all real quick about energetic consent and why it's important, and you having good energetic boundaries, you using discernment, you making sure you sealing your field, and that you ending those contracts. After somebody taps into your energy, you give permission, you also need to revoke that permission afterwards so that they don't have back doors into your energy. Okay, because a lot of times we're drained, and we're not drained because of something that's happening in our environment right now. And when you have those cords connected to the other people, just like they can walk into your energy, they can also pull on your energy. So you could be fueling them up, and you'll be thinking like, why can't I get ahead right now? And it's because somebody else is pulling all of your energy. Okay, I need to hear this. I struggle with boundaries, but always wanted to help people. I need this. Yeah, me too. I've always wanted to help people my whole entire life. I spent my whole life trying to fix people, trying to heal people, trying to all of those things. But really, you fix and heal people by fixing and healing yourself. And you become the example. You become the embodiment of what you want to see. So if you want people to communicate well, you communicate well. If you want people to be accountable, you show them what accountability looks like. But it's not supposed to be self-sacrifice. You don't help people by self-sacrificing. You love yourself in abundance, and then you pour out of your overflow. That's how you do it. And I think sometimes we get that it becomes convoluted. Okay? It becomes a little convoluted. You don't help by trying to help. You become the example for people to see, and if they need your help, they come to you. Okay? You're welcome. I think it's a beautiful thing that you want to help, my love. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Okay, I seen it come through, my love. I'll send you confirmation in a second. Okay, but it's a beautiful thing that you want to help, but it shouldn't come at your own expense. It shouldn't come at the detriment to you. Okay, and that's something I had to learn a really, really hard way. The reason why I do a lot of the preaching that I do or talking that I do is because I did it all the wrong ways first. I did it all the hard ways first. I was determined to bump my motherfucking head. Okay, and so I come and I speak about it just because I don't want people to have to go through the same thing. A wise person learns through other people's experiences. Okay, asking myself, is this self-sacrifice or is this from my overflow? Yes, exactly. Because good support and nurture for other people comes through good support and nurture for yourself. You know, and when you think about it, it's self-neglect and it's self-betrayal. You're choosing somebody else's well-being and comfort over your own. When I thought about it that way, it really struck me, because I was like, damn, like even when I was the type of person who like felt like, you know, I've been broke before, so if somebody needs my last, I'll just give them my last and I'll figure it out, right? But then I was like, why am I exchanging their burden? Why am I making their burden my burden now? Why am I exchanging their burden for my peace? Why am I compromising myself to make sure that somebody else is okay before I make sure myself is okay? Why do I care more about them than I care about myself? That's self-betrayal. That's self-neglect. Thank you, Amiris. That's self-neglect. That's self-betrayal. You are prioritizing somebody else's comfort, somebody else's well-being over your own. And because you're creating that dynamic, now when you go to them and you need help, why would they now prioritize your well-being over their own when you just showed them that they are valued more than you? It don't make sense. It really don't. And that's when I was like, if I don't got it, I don't give it. If I'm wounded, how the fuck am I gonna help? You know, I gotta make sure that my home is comfortable just as much as yours is. You know, generosity is a beautiful thing, but it needs to be from your overflow. And if you don't have an overflow, don't ever pour from your cup. Because when your cup get empty, none of them people who had their hand out is gonna help you refill it. They're gonna wait until you refill it, and then they're gonna come back around with their hand out. Okay? You have to learn that you're just as important as other people, that your needs are just as important as other people's. That's the best thing you can learn about life. Life is ultimately about self. You're supposed to be creating a reality that you enjoy, not a reality your parents wanted for you. Just because you had me and brought me into this world do not mean you get to decide what choices I make. Everybody has free will. Everybody. You got a blank canvas. Make sure you're the one painting it. Because anything else is exhausting. Anything else puts you into pain and suffering. Don't be in pain and suffering trying to live your life for somebody else. Don't ever live your life for somebody else. That's how you get in tune with your gifts. You make choices based on you, not trying to please somebody else, trying not to disappoint other people. Fuck them. You had your life. Why you ain't do that with your life? What the fuck you over here trying to tell me to do about? Hold on, wait a second. Why do you even see me as an extension of your ego? What I do should not rock your boat. What you do shouldn't rock my boat. But that be the problem, is we live in a place of ego. So we got our parents seeing us as an extension of their ego, and they feel like if you do good, then that means something good for them. So if they wasted their whole entire life because they was living their mama's dream, and then you don't do the same thing, they feel like that's not fair. You're supposed to do it this way. I didn't get to live my dream so that you could live yours. I sacrificed everything for you. Nobody told you to do that. And nobody told you to make that my burden. I didn't ask you to do that. Like I didn't ask you to lay on that bed, spread eagle. I didn't ask you to do that. They don't get to decide. You do. And you have to stand on that. And if that means going into separation for what you believe in, then fucking do it. Because if you live in your life for somebody else, you are going to be miserable. And as a person who has been there, it is not worth it. Even when you get what they told you were supposed to get, you won't be satisfied. Because it was never yours to get. It was never meant to fulfill you. It was meant to fulfill them. And that's you choosing separation. Because your soul is telling you one thing, it's screaming at you. Yeah, but my dad wants me to be a doctor. We a family full of doctors. I have to be a doctor. But you want to be a dancer. Being a dancer sets your soul. Well, they said that's not realistic. Fuck realistic. Fuck realistic. That's not practical. You can go to Europe and dance. They pay dancers over there as much as they pay stars over here. Go where you are received. Do things that light your soul on fire, because joy, as I said in my previous live, is a sacred force. It weaves light into the matrix. It kills all distortions. Joy is an act of rebellion. Joy is the most important thing about you. You have to stay grateful. You have to experience joy. That's it. It's that simple. That's why in the movie Monsters, Inc., At the beginning of the movie, they was feeding off of fear. That means they can feed off your fear too. And it does power their city, right? But then a child enters with that joy and all of a sudden shit get finicky. Shit get finicky. Shit start going haywire. So at the end of the movie, what they do, they was bottling up the joy. And they was able to save the power. Now they don't need as much. Now they go into the room to get joy. Why? Because it's the most powerful thing about you. And they cannot mimic it. They cannot replicate it. That's why they keep trying to snuff it out of us. Joy is what keeps your flame alive. The flame that you stood in front of before you came here. Any of these lives. Joy is what keeps it alive. That's why they need to take your joy. That's why they need to traumatize you. They're choosing to feed off the fear instead of the joy. Actually, they're feeding off of both of it. But joy is more powerful than anything here because it is a sacred force. They won't tell you, but I will. I talked about it in deep detail in my last live yesterday. Go where you're received, a whole word. I had to tell one of my students that today. Absolutely. Go where you're received. Sometimes your people is not your people. Sometimes soul lineage outweighs blood lineage. Yes, that live's on YouTube. It's called Spiritual Talk with Big Taj Introduction. Okay? Soul lineage is sometimes more important than blood lineage. Sometimes those people were supposed to just get you here. You chose to be born in that family because you needed to learn the lessons. You need to learn what you didn't like, what you were not going to tolerate. You need to strengthen your boundaries. You need to speak up for yourself. You need to understand how important truth is. You need to understand how important accountability is. So maybe you need to compare it to something when somebody is not doing it. But you know in your soul, you have to hold yourself accountable. You know in your soul, you want to stay open to love. You don't want to shut yourself off because you see what it looks like when somebody shut yourself off. It is a lesson for you. It is not a prison sentence. It is a lesson. It was never meant to be a prison sentence. When you get of age, make conscious decisions to go where you are received. So if that means that you don't have the same situation as everybody else, then you don't have that situation. Acceptance is a big part of life. I don't have the same type of mom that they show you on TVs. And honestly, I think they show you those type of families on TV so that you hold on to the dream and the fantasy of that. The dream and the fantasy of that. Not looking at your reality the way that it is. You feel like I have to have that. So you keep going after it and you put yourself in a loop of disappointment because you got this version of your mama in her head that she never been. And every time you go around her, you trying to get her to act like this version that she never been. And then you keep getting disappointed and disappointed. When you could have just called a spade a spade. This is the evidence that I have been given. This is what I know to be true about this person. I'm going to treat them accordingly instead of trying to make them be somebody that they never been. I see it for them, but they don't see it for themselves. Accept things for what they are and realize that sometimes family has nothing to do with blood. If it comes to them or you, choose you. Especially if you know that you do right by people, you love people, you care about people. If you feel in your soul that they're not operating out of a place that is helpful to you, that's not dimming your light, that's not filling you up, then don't be around them. You have to be willing to sacrifice everything for your peace of mind. And don't go after fickle things like happiness. Because happiness is a feeling, it's fleeting. You're not going to be happy all the time. You're not. But you can seek joy all the time. You can experience joy all the time. Because all you got to do is be living the life that you love. All you got to do is be doing the things that you love every single day. That's different than happiness. Happiness comes with sadness. It's a spectrum. They the same energies, just on different sides of the spectrum. Create a life that you actually enjoy. So that every single day you get up and you look around and you love the clothes that you have. You love the mug that you're drinking your coffee out of. You love the way you style your hair. You love the perfume that you have on. You smell, oh, num, 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 num. You love your workstation. This is work Taja. Downstairs is party time. It's pink as hell downstairs. You know, pink and blue. Love it. My bedroom, though, is like a navy. So when I go in here, I'm in dream time. Every single space in my house is different. But I love everything. The things that you love, that's what you want to purchase. You don't want to purchase out of necessity. You want to purchase things you actually fucking like. So that every time you look at them, you're just like, wow, I love this. This is one of my favorite coffee mugs. Start my Monday mornings off with this. Low-key thriving. I love a good iridescent. Okay? So that's what I buy. Even my little thing, iridescent. I love a good iridescent. Okay? You can't see it on the inside because I've been smudging. I love a good iridescent. Everything in this bitch will be iridescent fucking around with me. But that's what I like. So you need to do things that you like to do. This, one of my favorite piercings. I love the way it looks. Got it. This, same. My tattoo placement. Love. I love looking at this. Love it. I love it. You got to love your life too. You got to love your things too. You know? So you got to create it. You got to go after it radically, regardless of how other people feel about it. Be you and only you. They had their chance. If they squandered it, that's on you. I ain't tell you to do that. I don't owe you that. How you gonna seal my fate before I even know what my fate is? It's not fair. Okay? So that's all I wanted to get on here and talk about today, was talk about energetic consent and why it's important. I just went on a little rant at the end, but I love a good rant, you know? So I hope y'all have an amazing Thursday. I'll probably be back on here maybe early next week. But every Wednesday, 1 p.m. Pacific time, which is 3 Central, 4 Eastern, we're going to talk about Atlantis, Lemuria, the rose grids, all the things that I feel like we need to talk about because it's important for where we are right now. Thank y'all. Needed to be said. It made me smile, period. Love that. So I'm going to post this on YouTube so y'all can go back and write down those incantations I gave y'all, okay? I love it too. Needed a lot of that confirmation. Yes, ma'am. And sometimes we just need to hear it a couple times, and that's okay. You know, so go back and write down those things that I told you to write down. You can even voice record me saying it and play it before you go to sleep. You know? But it's really important that we have spiritual discernment right now, because it's a lot of stuff coming at us, a lot of negative energies coming at us. It's so important that you claim your sovereignty, claim your free will. Pay attention to where you give your attention to. Set your intentions every single day. Get yourself into a spiritual practice, and you're designing it. It's how you want to do it, not how they tell you to do it. Spirituality is supposed to be fluid. There's not supposed to be a structure and a form to it. You take what you like, you leave what you don't. Okay? I love y'all. Keep spiraling upwards, friends. I'll talk to y'all next week. Bye.